Hello everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to this video lesson. I am Paul Acevedo, studying at Andres Bonifacio College, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, majoring English, and today's lesson will be the elements of a short story. In this lesson, you will be able to identify what are the elements of a short story, as well as define the elements of a short story. But before I will present to you the elements of a short story, let us first define. What is a short story? A short story is a piece of prose fiction that can be read in one sitting. It is usually shorter than novels. Stories are made up of four important elements. These are characters, setting, plot, and theme. Now, let's proceed first to the first element of a short story, which are the characters. A character is a person or animals who takes part in the action of a short story. These are examples of famous characters in a short story. Pinocchio in the story Pinocchio, Belle and the Beast in the story Beauty and the Beast, Snow White in the story Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, the Ugly Duckling in the story The Ugly Duckling, the Evil Witch in the story Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and Maleficent in the story Sleeping Beauty. There are two identifications of characters. A character can be protagonist and antagonist. Protagonists are the leading character or one of the major characters in a short story, like Belle and the Beast in the story Beauty and the Beast, Pinocchio in the story Pinocchio, and Snow White in the story Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, while the antagonists are the villain in the story who's always opposing the protagonist, like Maleficent, who cursed Aurora in the Sleeping Beauty, and the Evil Witch, who is envious with the beauty of Snow White in the story Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and the two stepsisters of Cinderella, who bullied Cinderella in the story Cinderella. Now, let's proceed to the second element of a short story, which is the setting. Setting of a short story is the time and place in which it happens. It tells the reader where and when the story takes place. The setting is an element authors use to influence the reader's imagination. It tells us where the story is located, what the weather is like, and what the time of the day it is. These are common examples of setting which can be found in some short stories. Once upon a time, palace, old village, 12 midnight in the story Cinderella, and forest. Now let's proceed to the third element, which is the plot. Plot is the chain of related events that takes place in a story. It is also the sequence or order of events in a story. The plot includes exposition statement, or the part of the plot that tells how the story begins, the rising action, or the action in the story leading up to the climax, the conflict, or the struggles or problem between opposing forces, and the climax, or the point of crisis in the plot. It may be the reader's point of highest interest, and the falling action, which is the action in the story after the climax is revealed, and the resolution, or the part of the plot that reveals the final outcome. Let's proceed to the last, but not the least, element of a short story, which is the theme. Theme is the main idea of a short story. The theme of a story is what the author is trying to convey. In other words, it is the central idea of the story. Short stories often have just one theme, whereas novels usually have multiple themes. The theme of a story is woven all the way through the story, and the characters' actions, interactions, motivations, all reflect the story's theme. These are examples of theme in some short stories. Beauty is not on the outside of a person, but what is inside of him, from the story Beauty and the Beast. Another example is true love triumphs over all odds. Evil will always be punished, and the pure of heart will get their heart's desire, from the story Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, let us make a recap. There are four elements of a short story: characters, setting, plot, and theme. Character is a person or animal in a short story. There are two identifications of characters: protagonist and antagonist. Protagonists are the main or the lead character of a short story, like Cinderella, Belle and the Beast, Pinocchio, and many more, while the antagonists are the villain in the story, like Maleficent, who cursed Aurora in the story Sleeping Beauty, and the evil witch who is envious with the beauty of Snow White in the story Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. While the setting is the time and place and on where that story takes place, like palace, 12 midnight in the story Cinderella, forest, and etc. And the plot is the series of events in the story. It includes exposition statement, the rising action, conflict, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. While the theme is the main idea of the story, it can be a lesson or a quote. And that would basically end my discussion. Thank you for listening. I hope you have learned a lot of things from me. And this is me saying goodbye.